Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to today's video. Today we'll be talking about how Asian men are trapped by social scarcity. It's the idea that your loneliness is making it hard to meet other people and is creating behaviors that perpetuate loneliness. When you're trapped in a social scarcity mindset, studies show that people who are lonely hyper-focus on a conversation. They hyper-focus on the interaction because they don't really have an abundance of this. So they are vigilant on everything you say. And they want to be needed. They want to be wanted. They want your approval. They start exhibiting extremely needy behavior, which is off-putting. It's the idea that I don't have anyone that likes me, so when you're talking, I'm more attuned to what you're saying. But I'm on edge and I'm not being myself. I'm doing everything to please you. And in a specific study, they had a ton of lonely people record themselves and just who they are, what they want, talked about themselves to see if they're interesting. They had no specific task. All they knew was that at some point, someone else would later on listen to their recording and rate them. So at the end of the session, the person who's listening to the recording of the lonely person, they rated them as significantly less interesting than those who were not lonely. This is a very hardly surprising study. You could say, yeah, they're lonely or just lonely and they suck at social interaction. Another version of this experiment showed that when the lonely were speaking the recorder, this time they didn't have someone listen to them, or they said that no one was going to. They would just talk about themselves and be as interesting as possible. But when the person actually listened to them, they actually rated them as equal to the person who's not lonely. So this shows that they're not boring necessarily. It just shows that when someone is listening, they just drop the ball. They just performed really badly when someone else was going to listen to them. This shows that when the stakes are high, the lonely perform extremely bad because they are hyper-focused. It's the same thing as an inverted U. It's the idea of that when you pay too much attention to something, you fail, versus trusting yourself and trusting the process. It's like you pay too little attention, you suck at it. You pay too much attention, you suck at it. But it's right in that middle of the sweet spot where you're paying attention, but you're at ease, but you're not overthinking. So it shows that the lonely overthink. They get in their heads. They have an inability to express themselves and be at ease. But this makes sense though, because if you lack experience in this subject of social interactions, you're gonna suck at it. You don't have the skill set. You don't have the repetition that makes you competent in that. If you're stuck in this cycle of social scarcity and loneliness, so I'm lonely because I don't interact with a lot of people, but I want to make friends, so therefore I'm needy and show that, and I'm a huge people pleaser. No one really likes to be around that because it's weird, right? It's weird. You're aversive to other people and you put people off. You're continually being lonely, and then you start thinking in your head about, yeah, I suck. It just reinforces that behavior, right? It's positive reinforcement. Therefore, I go out and I don't make friends, and therefore they hate me, and it just continues. So what can you actually do about it? You need to slow it down. Pay attention, but ease back. Trust in yourself. And that's something that is going to take time and it's very hard to do. You don't have to go fast. You don't have to find the subject. So even if you're going to people please, just slow it down a bit. They talk about sports or something you're not interested in. And before you jump in, just breathe. Okay? And by doing this, you're becoming acclimated to the social situation. You're feeling the presence of the other, and the other person's also feeling you, and you feel like the energy is calmed down. You can tell when someone's very upbeat and high rigid and just talking. It's unnatural. By slowing it down, relaxing, taking a deep breath, it will help you be yourself and be authentic about it. And by doing this, you're actually observing and taking in data. You're taking a lot of data, and you're going to analyze it later about how did you do in this situation. And by immersing yourself in the immediate environment and talking to new people, it's going to be scary. But I would highly suggest moving from your protected, isolated world of being alone at home on your computer playing video games, moving yourself into public places. So this could mean going to the office for work, just being around others, getting used to that feeling, going into a coffee shop and observing, going on a walk, not an empty park, but go to places where there are people there so you become used to it. And you'll get to the point where you get sick of it, but it'd be very invigorating for you because you don't have a lot of experience in this, and that's completely okay because you're in such a lack and a scarcity that it's going to fill your cup. You're like, wow, there's a lot of people. And you'll get used to it. It'll become normal. And you start saying hi to people. You start making eye contact with people. You start waving. Simple stuff like that. And it's funny because when you're in public places, the environment completely changes every 10 minutes because people come and go. Some people stay. You don't see the next person the next day unless you start finding regulars, which I would highly suggest. So if you go to the same coffee shop, go to the same one or go to a different one and experience it or find your favorite and start becoming a regular. Then you'll start recognizing people. Then you'll start talking to people. And soon, as time goes on, soon enough, you realize that the loneliness starts to fade away. It's all in your head. Being lonely is a decision by yourself. Being rejected is a fact of life. But the fact is, if you stay in that state of rejection and denial, and just give up, loneliness will be the permanent solution to your life. That's the default. You have to actively fight it. And once you get in the flow state, natural state in which you should exist, you have a lot of friends. You'll be in abundance, but you need to start now. Otherwise, it just gets worse. Realize that we all operate in the cycle. I've been lonely before in my life. I used to go home from school, play video games, and I was kind of a loner. But I really wanted to hang out with people, and it was hard. It destroyed my heart. I mean, think about the idea that no one likes you, have no friends, you have no one to call is a terrible feeling. I have so much empathy for you guys. The fact is, you're hurting, you want to reach out to someone, you want friends to call or hang out with, but you have no opportunities or no options there. It sucks. It's one of the loneliest times of my life, growing up in my early adolescence. It sucked. I just wish I had a buddy or someone and a girlfriend to hang out with, but here we are now. How did I get to this position now where I have a huge friend group, having a rich, immersive environment, people who are older than me, who mentor me, and it's always interesting, and having a partner, Hadley, I love deeply, having a great relationship, getting outside of the house. I think quitting RuneScape and computer games, joining sports, hanging out with people was the best decision of my life. I'm not saying I had to give up who I was entirely, but I didn't really have an idea who I was when I was online. And not making that my obsession. Not doing that early in the morning, late at night. This idea that I was going to get out of the house, find that, and by the end of the night to unwind, I'll give it an hour or two. That really changed my life, was just small steps. I think I woke up one day in my life and realized how unhappy I was or how lonely I was, and something needed to change. And sad to say, it usually takes a moment like this to pivot your life where you're just sick of remaining the same. That was a transformational period. I hated where I was. It was no longer bearable to continue at the pace at which I was going. I had to change my environment, the state of mind, the state of being, because I knew what was happening was not fulfilling my cup. And if I kept doing this, I was extremely, extremely depressed. So once you hit rock bottom, something changes. But until then, the feeling of little loneliness, it's not that much of a motivation to make you go out. It's not. You don't have the momentum or the impetus to go. You have to get sick of being where you are. And I hope that comes at a time where you have a lot of resources. You can continue watching my videos or book a call, and I can definitely help you. But I hope this video is a wake-up call that in 2024 that it doesn't have to be this way forever. And even if you improve 5 to 10%, your life will be so much more enriched because that 5 to 10% will actually pay dividends. It'll give you the motivation to keep on going and going and going. But loneliness is something that we all deal with, and it's happening. It's a pandemic currently of loneliness, especially after COVID. And I feel for you. I hope that you watch this video and take action in your daily life and actually change something about it, even if it's small. I'm immensely proud of you. Otherwise, follow me on Instagram, see what I'm up to. If you want more, check out the website. As always, wish you guys the best. Peace out. Namaste.